Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗛. In this lecture, I'll cover what can you expect at the end of this course. So, see, this course aims at making you from a complete beginner to an intermediate level bug hunter, right? So after this course, you can start gaining experience. You can go on websites like HackerOne or Bugcrowd and you can start doing your bug hunting. Or once you do whatever I tell you, you can even start getting jobs in companies as a web application tester, right? So what you will learn till the end of this course, you will learn how websites works, the basic mechanism of every website, every web application. You will learn how you can install the XAMPP. You will learn how to troubleshoot the Apache failures in case you have some. And you even face such kind of failures in the real world. So you will know how to troubleshoot those kind of things. You will learn how to set up your own web penetration testing lab. We will be using 𝗕𝗓𝗏 for this so that you don't face any illegal kind of works, right? You will learn how to install Pentest Box. So Pentest Box is one of the softwares that allow you to run all the industry leading tools in a Windows environment, giving you better performance over virtual machines. I will make sure that you master burp suite, which is the best tool in web application penetration testing. After that, I'll teach you how to do passive information gathering, how do you do active information gathering, and I'll make sure that you understand the difference in a code review and fuzzing. So these are the two techniques of penetration testing, and I'll make sure that you know how to do them and what's the difference in them. You will even understand the top vulnerabilities such as the XSS, CSRF, SQL injection, command injection, file upload vulnerabilities, and how do you actually bypass file upload filters for most of the extensions, right? I'll even show you some of the popular web shells on internet which you can use in practical life, and we'll talk about brute forcing, and finally how do you automate all of the work by using scanners. For example, Vega vulnerability scanners, that is a product of Subgraph. Or how do you use products like Arachne scanners. At the end of this course, you can expect to be a fully trained web application penetration tester. I hope you are also excited as I am. Let's just get started. Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗛, and in this lecture we are going to install XAMPP in our system. Now XAMPP stands for Cross-Platform Apache MariaDB PHP Perl. So it is a full stack of softwares that will allow us to run a website on our own system, right? So what you're going to do is you have to go on Google and search for XAMPP and just download it from the first page, right? So I'll just click on this download. Now you will see that as it is a cross-platform software, it is available for all the distributions including Windows, and you will see Linux, Mac OS as well, right? There are some other add-ons if you want to check, but let's just get on the work. Now the XAMPP is separated by the version of PHP and Apache. So here you will find multiple versions, and I will recommend you to go with 7.1.x. So it should be 7.1 for the PHP version because that is supported by most of the applications. And there is another version, the 5.6 as well, but it may give you some issues with the new applications. So we will go away with the 7.1, right? Just click on download and it'll get you on the download page, right? We just click there. And here you go, just click on save file, and it should not take more than 10-15 seconds to download the file. So we just downloaded XAMPP right here. Yep. So let's just go ahead and install this, right? Just open it, and here is the Bitnami logo. And it just gives you up a warning. So this warning may be faced by Windows users. It's all about the UAC. That's pretty much okay. You just want to click on proceed, or just click on OK in this case, and we will sort this up later. It's just saying that you may face some issues, but that's fine. So let's just go ahead and click on next, and we will be doing a custom install. So we don't need everything, right? We just need Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So I will unmark all the other services. We don't need this. We don't need this. And here we need the PHP, but we don't need Perl, right? And in additional softwares, we need PHP MyAdmin, but we don't need the other two. Okay, so this is the custom installation. Now Apache for the web server, the MySQL for the database, and PHP for processing our hypertext. So these are the three elements we need in our server. So let's just click on next, and it'll ask you for the installation directory. Now you can leave it default. I'll just add XAMPP1 because I already have another version of XAMPP in my system. So XAMPP1, just giving it a name. You can leave it default, right? Just click on next, and let me just uncheck this. It's useless. And here you go. It will now install XAMPP for you, and it may take 5 to 10 minutes depending upon your system. Will not take more than 10 seconds here. Let's just see. So almost done. Okay, now it just says that the firewall is blocking the Apache service. That's really fine. You just want to allow this thing, right? It happens sometimes. It may happen with MySQL as well. So just allow the service. It's totally fine. And also I'll enable the public support as well in this one. Just click on allow. And it's just creating the uninstaller and all. It'll just finish up in a second. Just wait for it. And here you go. So it just installed the XAMPP control panel and the XAMPP server. I'll just get it started. Here is asking you for the language, so I'll just go with the English, right? You can choose the another one if you really need that. I'll go with the English. And this is the XAMPP control panel. So I'll just resize it and bring it to the center. Now just a second. You just resize it, bring it to the center. And here you will see that we have MySQL and Apache, and you can start or stop those services. So I'll just go ahead and show you how to start a service. I'll just start the MySQL, right? And we'll try to attempt to start it. And it just gives the same warning again. So if you remember, we got the same warning for the firewall blocking the Apache. Now it is blocking the MySQL, so I'll just allow it. It's a one-time process. You don't need to do it again and again. So if I just stop this process here and start it again, you will see we don't get any warning again, right? And that's how you install MySQL. Now for the Apache, you may face some error. And here you go. You see this error right here. It comes due to many reasons, and in next lecture I'll show you how to troubleshoot this Apache failure error, right? Until then, I'll see you in the next lecture. Have a great day. Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture we are going to troubleshoot the Apache failures. So sometimes the Apache get failed, and in that cases you may want to go on the apache control.exe in the place where you installed it, and you want to run it as an administrator, or in case of Linux it's gonna be run as root, right? When you run that, then try to start it, and sometimes that's the only problem which you may be facing. Now in this case we are still getting the problem. So here it basically says that you can read the logs, but when you see here problem detected port 443 in as being used, right? So it says that the port 443 is actually in being used by another program, that is VMware Workstation in my case. This problem is very common. In some cases you may see that port 80 is being used by Skype. So if you have Skype in your system, you may face the problem that port 80 is already being used. So how do you fix these kind of problems? There are two ways. Either you uninstall the program, or you change the port used by this program, or you change the port being used by Apache itself, right, in the XAMPP. So how do you do that? You go on the configuration files, and you will see many configuration files. The two which we are interested in is httpd.config and httpd-ssl.config, right? These are the two files. this first one without SSL, this first one is for port 80. The second one is for port 443. So in this case, we have the error with 443, so we will go with the second one. So we open this file and I'll just say find, I'll just find 443. I'll say find next. Here we get listen on 443. We will just change this listen 443. So you can change it to any port. A standard practice is to add 8000. So 8443, right? In case of port 80, we generally add it 8080, 8080, and here 8443. And just go ahead and save it. Just close it and now try to start it. And you see Apache has been started successfully. The ports are being used 80 and 8443. This is how you solve this kind of Apache failures. To verify that the install is actually working, you may go ahead in a browser, go to localhost, localhost, okay? Just try to go over there and you will see the XAMPP default page, right? If you are able to see this page, it means that it is working fine. You can go to PHP info to see that PHP is working fine, right? And there is the phpMyAdmin as well to verify your MySQL database structure and other things. This is the phpMyAdmin, and here you can create your database and manage things, right? So I can say that everything is working great on this installation. We have the SQL running, we have the PHP working, and Apache is of course working as well. Now that's how you set up a XAMPP, and that's how you troubleshoot the errors. I'll see you in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day. Hey, welcome back everyone. This is Sagar from 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏, and now that we have our XAMPP running, we will be installing the 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏 on our XAMPP. Now 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏 stands for Damn Vulnerable Web Application, and you can download it from Google. So just go ahead and search for 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏. It'll take you to the official website, that's 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏𝗗𝗏.co.uk. Just go over there. And here you will see the download link. So right over here. Now, what exactly is 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏𝗏? It is a testing environment where you can learn web hacking. So now it has been downloaded. Let's just go ahead and open it. It's right over here. I'll just open this. So you will see 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏 master. What you're gonna do with this folder is you will extract it in the location where you installed your XAMPP. So for me, it was in C and XAMPP1. And here you will see HTTP docs. So here it is, right? This folder. Just open this up and extract everything right over here. So just extract this thing. So it'll take a second. And here you go. It just got extracted. Now you don't need this archive. Just close it. So the name is 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏-master. I will recommend just rename it to 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏 in lowercase. That's fine. Just open this up and you will find a lot of files in it, right? So there you will see config folder. Just open that up and you will see config.inc.php-dist, right? What you want to do is you want to copy and paste this file as it is. Just copy and paste and then rename this file from dist. Just remove the copy and dist, right? Let me just show you. You are going to make it a PHP file and just click on yes. So now this is config.inc.php. This is the file which we need, right? So now that you have the configuration file, you can open this up. I will open it in Notepad++. You can open it in any text editor you like. I do have some things here. So this is the file. Let me zoom in. And you will see we need to fill up 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏 database server. Now the server will be the local host, and this is the localhost IP, so that's really fine. 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏 database, the database user, the database password. Now in XAMPP, the default user is root and the default password is blank. So you want to remove this password. It will be blank. And the 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏 database, this is you can create a new database. So I'll just create a new database named 𝗕𝗏𝗗𝗏 as it is, right? You can give it a new name if you want, but let's create a database. So you want to go on XAMPP. Let me just power on the Apache and MySQL. Let's go on localhost now. And let's go to phpMyAdmin. Here I will create a database. Just click on new and give it a name. I will give it DVWA. Just click on create and you will see that a DVWA name database has been created, right? So first thing first, we have a database ready that's already powered by the user root, and the password for that is blank, right? There is nothing. So that's how you do the configurations. You just want to say save file and save. Okay, now what you have done, you have created a database and you have filled in the configuration part, right? Let's go on to the DVWA now. So you want to say localhost /DVWA. Just press enter and you will see the DVWA login screen. The username is admin, ADMIN. The password is password in lowercase, PASSWORD. And here is the DVWA setup. So in setup check, it says that PHP function allow URL include is disabled. So we will enable it. And reCAPTCHA key is missing, right? Now, we really don't want to learn the reCAPTCHA vulnerabilities, so that's why it's fine. We can leave it missing. We can add it later in the configuration file whenever needed, but that's something out of scope of this course, so I will not fix this one. However, we will be fixing this one, allow URL include, right? How do you do that? You want to go in the Apache configurations. This is Apache, this is configuration. You want to say PHP INI, right? This one, PHP INI. Here, let's find allow URL include. I believe this should be enough. Allow URL fopen, that should also be on, and allow URL include, that should also be on, right? Let's just change it to on. That's done. So this is the setting for DVWA, but I would recommend one or two more tweaks. If you see here, you should see somewhere memory usage in this file. Just find the memory usage area. Yeah, here it is in the resource limit. Right over here in the resource limit, you will find the maximum RAM and memory usage, etc. So the line here is memory limit 128 megabytes. I would suggest to change it to 256. So here it is, 256. As well, there is the maximum input time. I would suggest to change it to 360. Okay, and that's all. So I believe there is nothing left. Let me just quickly check it for you. Yes, so that's all. You want to change the memory limit to 256 megabytes, and you want to change the maximum input time to 360 seconds, right? That was the thing I want you to do. That's a recommendation, not necessary. You already made the necessary part, which was the allow URL include. Now you also want to restart your Apache, so just click on stop and just click on start so that it reloads the PHP file again, right? Now it's loaded. Let's refresh this page and you will see it has been now enabled, right? We are not fixing the reCAPTCHA key because that's something out of the syllabus, and you can always add these keys in the configuration file later. Let's just click on create database. So let's see the stats, and database has been created, and it actually redirected me automatically, right? It will redirect you to the login page. Again, the username is admin, password is password. Just click on login and here you go. So welcome to DVWA. These are all the famous vulnerabilities which you want to master, right? So I will continue this series in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture I'll talk about how will you get all the tools that you will need for this course. So basically I have two options for you. Either you can use a Windows operating system that will make your work a lot more easier, or you can use a virtual machine, right? So the first thing is that if you are using a Windows operating system, I recommend you to go with the pen test box. Now a lot of people will tell you how to use a virtual machine and how to use Kali Linux or Parrot security operating system or similar kind of operating systems, but in practical life we don't use that a lot. The thing is that virtualization make your performance slow. In that case, I recommend to go with a native environment, that is Pentest Toolbox. So you can just go on Google and search for Pentest Toolbox, this one. Pentest Tools, not this one, Pentest Toolbox. This is also an option by the way, but it's a commercial package. Pentest Toolbox. So yeah, Pentest Box, this one. So the pentestbox.org, and just open the website, and here you will get the pentest box. It comes with the Windows version right here. You can see it's the command prompt, and you can type anything in the command prompt, right? You can just click on download and it'll give you the SourceForge link. Now the thing is, it comes in two versions. The first one is pentest box, the second one is pentest box with Metasploit. So Metasploit is a framework which can be used in professional penetration testing, and I would recommend you to go with this option, the Metasploit one. Now there is one more thing. You can go above and you can see why another pen testing distribution. So it'll tell you that you can just see it's not like any other Linux distribution which you have to run on a virtual machine or you have to dual boot your operating system. It's basically the native environment. It's going to be running on your Windows machine itself, right? Now the thing is that when you're installing this version with Metasploit, your antivirus will trigger it a lot. So what you have to do is you have to, for example, I have this downloaded. You can open this up and it'll ask you the folder to extract. So make sure you exclude this folder in your antivirus. And every antivirus has a different setup, so I will not show that, but open your antivirus and exclude this thing. It will be easy. You will find the option and just click on extract. It will extract. I already have it, and it'll give you a icon on the desktop. I have it right here. You can open it, and it will take 4 to 5 minutes in the first run. So I have already run it so many times, so it doesn't take any time for me, but it may take 4 to 5 minutes for you, right? And this is Pentest Toolbox. Now it seems like a simple command prompt. I mean, what can you do with it? Well, just see the website and you will understand. In tools, you have so many of them. So these are divided in the categories, and these are the syntax of the tools. There are a few tools which we will be using. There is the burp suite. So you can go in the web crawler, web application proxy, and web application scanners. So burp suite right over here, you can simply type burp suite and it'll load that tool. Let's see another tool which we may be using. That will be an exploitation, I believe. So let's see, there is a tool called SQL map. So let's see where that comes. Yes, SQL map, it is a exploitation tool. You can see right here. So all the tools which you ever need are pretty much pre-installed in this, and you can go with this very easily. For example, I want to fire up nmap. I can just say nmap, and I can just add anything like sagarbansal.com, and I can just press enter and it will load the nmap, and you can just see it start the scan. I just press Ctrl+C to interrupt, right? And for example, I want to open burp suite. I can just say burp suite and press enter, and it will load the graphical interface for me in Burp Suite. This is the Burp Suite Community Edition. So it has pretty much everything for you on the fly. You don't need anything else, and I pretty much recommend this setup. You use a Windows operating system and then you use Pentest Toolbox. So I'll show you how to use these tools in detail later. I'm just gonna close this up, and I'll close both consoles. So yes, now that's gone. Now if you're using Mac, you have the option of using a VMware machine. So I would suggest you can just go here. You can download VMware, and for Mac the VMware is VMware Fusion. Now that's a commercial product, it will cost you money. The second option is VirtualBox. You can go ahead and download VirtualBox, just install this and set up a Windows operating system in your Mac, or set up directly a Kali Linux or whatever you want. If you are using Mac, I believe you are an experienced user, right? You can easily do that. Another option you can do in Mac is you can use the terminal. For example, let's suppose this is the Mac terminal, and you can install the tools from like whatever you want. Like you can say apt get install Burp Suite, and you should have Burp Suite installed if the Mac you are using have the apt-get package manager. Now this becomes a little complicated, and that's why I recommend using Windows for it. If you're a beginner, go with Windows, right? And that's how you will be doing all this stuff. I'll teach you, I'll guide you with each and everything and how to use these tools in future lectures. Till then, have a great day. Hi everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗕, and in this lecture I will show you how to set up Burp Suite with your browser. So I recommend using Firefox as your penetration testing browser. Whatever you do in this field, do it in Firefox, not in Google Chrome, because that doesn't give you that much flexibility, right? Now what exactly you want to do is you have to open Burp Suite, and here it is. It'll take some time to start up. It's a Java application. Here you go. So it might show you some updates. That's really fine. You can close them. When you work with Burp Suite, you can either create a project or you can work with a temporary project. Now generally we go with the temporary project, so I will go with it. I'll just click on next and use the Burp defaults. That's really fine, and I'll start up the Burp Suite for me. So here is the Burp Suite. Now the first thing you always want to learn while using Burp Suite is how to intercept traffic. So how do you make sure that traffic from your browser go to Burp Suite, from your Burp Suite it go to the website, from website it comes back to Burp Suite, from Burp Suite it comes to the browser. So it should be in the middle, right? How do you make sure that Burp Suite is sitting in middle of your browser and the website? You do that by using the Burp proxy, and that's what we will be setting up now. So here the second tab of Burp Suite is the proxy, and you will see the proxy can be either set to intercept as on or it can be intercept as off, right? Now how do you set this up? You just go on the browser and you say options. Sometimes it can be found in settings. You can scroll down and you will see network settings. In some old version of Firefox, it can be in this left panel. In settings, you say manual proxy configurations, right? And here you give the proxy as localhost. That's gonna be 127.0.0.1. So 127.0.0.1, right? And port will be 80. Okay, and use this proxy server for all protocols. Also, no proxy for, you just want to remove this. So just see this setup, and actually the port should be 8080 because we also have XAMPP running on port 80. So we will change it to port 8080 in this case, because that's where the Burp is sitting at the moment, right? So the HTTP proxy, it's 127.0.0.1, port is 8080, and we are using the same proxy for all the protocols, and no proxy for is this blank right here, right? And now if I try to visit any website, let's say localhost. Okay, so I even then pressed enter, and you will see that it intercepts this traffic. I can say intercept is off for a minute, and let's try to visit localhost again. So when I say localhost, it normally works, right? But if I say intercept is on, and now let's say I want to open PHP info file, you will see that browser will not process the request. The request is going in the burp proxy. This is the request. Now you have two options. You can either forward this request to the website, or you can drop this request, or you can change anything in this, right? You can change and then you can forward. So let me just simply forward this request. I forward this request, it go to the website, and it then comes back to the burp suite and then comes to my browser, right? I'm just gonna keep forwarding them, and you will see the page loads, right? That's the thing. Now burp is sitting in middle and giving us the advantage to modify the requests, right? If I want to go back, let's say I want to open phpMyAdmin, it will again come in the burp first, and then I can decide what to do. I can modify it, I can drop it, I can forward it. If I forward this thing and keep forwarding, you will see that phpMyAdmin loads up, right? I can go back. If the intercept is set to off, burp will not do anything and your browser will work like normal, right? I can just go to any website. You see it works even without going to burp. Now the traffic is directly going, right? That's the thing. So this is how you set up the burp suite proxy. But it is working on localhost, but it is not going to work on the websites that run on SSL. For example, google.com. You will see that it says that connection is not secure. Now why is this happening? Because the data is going from burp, right? It's going through burp, and the browser is not accepting the certificate which burp is using. So we need to have the burp certificate. For that you have to go on http burp. Okay, go over there and you will see CA certificate. Just go there and save this file. Once you save this file, you want to import this file as a certificate. Just go on options, go in privacy and security. Here you will find import certificates. So let's find that. So here it is, certificates, and we will say view certificates, and we will import a new certificate, right? So here you see import, and let's just open the certificate which we just downloaded, and you will trust this thing and just say okay, right? It has been imported. You say okay right here, and that's all. Now you should be able to visit any website that uses SSL or TLS. So let's try to go on Google now, and you will see that Google will work. So here you see Google now works because it is now accepting the certificate of burp, right? That's how you install the burp certificate. In this lecture we covered how to install burp suite proxy and how to install burp suite CA certificate, right? That's how you do all this thing. Now don't just keep watching the course, follow this thing, implement everything, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome back everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗫, and in this lecture I want to tell you how do you set the DVWA security level and how they differ from each other. So when you go in the DVWA dashboard, you will see DVWA security right over here. You can go on that page and you will see that you have 4 security levels. There is the low, medium, high, and there is the impossible. Now this security protocol, it has been designed in a way which differs in the difficulty levels. So in low security, you will see a very poorly coded and secure application. In medium security, they generally try to add some of the security measures, but they are just filtering the data. They are not proper security measures, they are just filters. In high security level, it is somewhat related to the real world challenges where you may not be able to compromise the website with one vulnerability, But when you combine two vulnerabilities on a high level, you may be able to compromise the website. The impossible level is the secure version of the application. So when you go on low and you say submit, now DVWA has been set to work with the low security level. Now each of these tabs represent a vulnerability. Let's say this XSS reflected. So this page is now having the vulnerability of XSS reflected that has been set to the low security. So we will be learning these vulnerabilities on each of these levels one by one. I'll continue this series in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day. Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗕, and in this lecture I want to talk about how any web application works or how any web mechanism works. Well, there is always a four-step process that we are going to talk about today. See, the user is the internet, right? User is connected to the internet and he's going to send some request from internet. Internet submit that request to the web server of the application. For example, if I have the website 𝗪𝗔𝗔𝗬𝗀.com, the internet is going to send a request to the web server of my website. Web server will then determine what it has to do with the request. It will forward the request to the file server or the database server, right? Generally, it happens in the series that it processes the request to the file server. The file server will give it all the files. For example, there is a page which is like index.html. The file server will give that page to the web server. And most of the web applications, they store their data in the database. So this web server will extract the data from the database and put all of these things together and give it back to the internet as a response. So these three servers are important, right? Now with these three servers, there is always a need of the processor. In this case, I took the example of a PHP processor, but there can be different kinds as well. For example, there may be a Node.js application. There you will need a Node.js processor. There can be an Angular application. You will need a Angular processor. So it will depend. What processor do is that it processes the files and the database queries, and it allows you to process all the works in the web server. Now, where is the vulnerability in this? Vulnerability can lie in all these stages. The request coming from internet to web server or the response going from web server to internet. The request from web server to file server, the request from web server to database, the request in between of the processing with the processor. The vulnerability can be anywhere, and all of these things makes the basic element of web penetration testing. This is what we have to do. We have to find the weaknesses between all these four elements, right? That's what is our job. This is how a website or a web application works. I'll keep this series going in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗕, and in this lecture we will talk about passive information gathering. Now, when it comes to passive, it means that you are not going to interact directly with the target. So for example, our target in this case is 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗕𝗓.org. So we will not go and interact with the target. We will not use some scanner, or we will not go ahead and try to attack the website directly. We will just see the publicly available data. That is like the open source data. The first thing you always want to go ahead and do is just go ahead and see the website yourself. You just go on the website and you try to see what kind of information do you get. So for example, now this is the website. Currently it looks like this, and there are so many courses here, but if I just try to see teach online with Teachable, so seems like they are using Teachable to host their courses. The platform here is Teachable. So this information I just got by viewing the website, not even interacting it, not even attacking it. I just get a very important piece of information, like what is the software being used here, right? Then the second thing is that you want to check the IP address of the website, which you can obviously go ahead and ping. So simply just go ahead and say ping @𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗕𝗓.org,
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 1
And here we just have the IP address of the website. Right now you can use this IP address to find more information which is publicly available. Right, there is one more thing you should always go ahead and do is built with, BUILTWITH. Built with is a technology lookup website. It will tell you which technology the website is using. So when you go on the built with, you enter the website, let's say 𝗕𝗔𝗫𝗀𝗏𝗓, you press enter, it'll show you each and everything the website is using. There is a detailed profile, meta profile, relationship profile, redirect profile, and a like basic kind of technology profile, which is like a short summary of this one. So you can see they are using Google Analytics, they are using Facebook signals, like they're using the tracking available with Facebook pixel tracking, some of the meta tags from Google. They're using the API from FilePicker.io, turbolinks, Google reCAPTCHA for security. They use FontAwesome for icons. They use Google Tag Manager. They also use Angular. For mobile, they use some of the kits from Apple development. They use CloudFront to host their website and provide their content, which is from Amazon. They use Cloudflare to manage their CDN. They use Bootstrap CDN. It probably means they are also using Bootstrap. They use Wistia to provide web hosting. They use Teachable for content management and some other things like jQuery, etc., etc. So just by searching one website on built with, we got so much information and we haven't even interacted with the target. One more website, which is into DNS, and then slash, and you say website, so 𝗕𝗔𝗫𝗀𝗏𝗔𝗪.org. You press enter, it'll give you the whole list of DNS. You don't even need to ping the machine actually, and it shows that the DNS records are from Cloudflare with this and this IP address. They have a problem of recursive queries here, which is marked with the exclamation sign. These are information, these are correct things, and these are problems. Like they can be false positives as well. They have all these things up and running. SOA records for the website, which are again from Cloudflare. And then you will go down and you will see they don't have a www record. So that's one of the things I just got to know about the website. Let me just prove this thing here. You can go on www.𝗕𝗔𝗫𝗀𝗏𝗔𝗪.org, and because they don't have this record, it will not work. Let me try to press enter and it will not work. I press enter and it says server not found because they have not made a www record. So that is how you gather a lot of information. There is one more, whois. So whois lookup is one of the important ones. You just say whois. It is provided by a lot of people, like the company called GoDaddy provides it, whois.com, domaintools.com. So you can choose any of these. I'll just go with the whois.com, and I'll go ahead and enter 𝗕𝗔𝗫𝗀𝗏 here. Alright, and just press enter. And now it'll show me the domain name registrar. So the company which helped them to register the domain name, the owner, maybe their phone number or something. I can just click on whois, and it'll show me it was registered with Namecheap Incorporations, which is a very big company. The domain expires on this date. The domain transfer is prohibited. Then the name servers again, and they are using whoisguard, which is a special kind of protection that like hides your data. So you will not get information about this website from whois. However, there are so many websites that do not use this kind of service, whoisguard or private registrations. They do not use this kind of service, and you can easily get information about those companies. You can get their phone numbers, you can get their emails, personal emails, and a lot of information from whois. So this was one more thing I just added in passive information gathering. One last thing I want to add is the Google Docs. So Google is very good tool if you know how to use it. For example, instead of using 𝗕𝗔𝗫𝗀𝗏, let me just show you Google Doc for Microsoft. I'll say in text, okay. in text and colon. Now this is a Google Dork. You can go on Google and you can just search Google Dorks list and it'll give you a whole list of Google Dorks. This is a special keyword in text, and whatever I enter now, it will be in the text of that website. I'll say passwords. Okay, and I'll say insight, and here I give it the insight Microsoft.com. Alright, press enter, and now it is going to show you all the pages from Microsoft.com that contains the word password. So word password is there on these pages. Another one which I want to show you, like we can say you can just go ahead and say in title, right? In title, and I would say help. Now if the title of a certain page that has Microsoft.com and there is a title, this is the title that has help in it. For example, in this whole world there is only one page of Microsoft that contains help word in title, I believe, as it shows me. So then it'll come up with the results here. There are so many Google Dorks. Let me just show you. So SQL injection is a very great vulnerability. You can just go ahead and search on Google Dorks for SQL injection, and it will show you the Google Dorks list. So for example, here is a list. For example, I copy this thing, I search this thing on Google, and let me just go ahead and say this thing on Google. Now all these websites which you see here, they are potentially vulnerable to SQL injection attack. Does that seem crazy? Yes, you just found 46 billion websites that are vulnerable to SQL injection attack. So potentially 46 billion. You can just say insight, right? And you can just give any site here like @degree.org. You can press enter, and yeah, Google just comes up with the reCAPTCHA because it thinks I'm a robot. I'm just making these kind of queries. That's fine. And now, because I believe we didn't got any result, so insight @degree.org, we have these kind of results. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, we just forgot to press a space there, that's why. Basically in this one, because this is a Google Dork as well, like we're combining two dorks, that's why we're not getting the proper result. Now there is no website coming from @degree.org, otherwise that should be top result. This just means that the @degree.org is not vulnerable to SQL injection of this Google Dork, which I just have right now, this one, view items PHP ID. So this is how you can use Google Dorks. You can use Whois, you can use BuiltWith, you can use Into DNS to find out a lot of information about your target. This is how you do passive information gathering. In next lecture, I will talk about how to do active information gathering. Till then, have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗫, and in this lecture, we will be talking about the active information gathering. So what exactly is active information gathering? Unlike passive information, in active information, we directly communicate with the target. So there are so many ways in which you can communicate with the target. You can go ahead and perform scanning, you can go ahead and perform enumeration, right? So a very famous tool to perform scanning is Nmap, and to use Nmap you just say Nmap and then you give the target. In this case I have used test.html.vulnweb.com because you are free to test this website. Then you can actually specify some flags like ST, SS, and there are so many. You can add -A to be aggressive, right? So there are various kind of scans available in Nmap, but a standard scan is when you don't give any parameter. So it takes a lot of time to scan. That's why I performed it in advance. Now when you press enter, it starts the scan and it shows you the output right over here. It says it found port 21, port 22, 25, 5380 106 118 143 465 and 993, and even these different ports. So you can see there are more ports here, right? So now this is this is showing you that what's the service running over here. So this is how you can use Nmap. There are many other tools like this, and there are many other flags in Nmap that can be utilized. Now this is more focused on a penetration testing and offensive hacking stuff. But when we come to a web application penetration testing, generally the active data gathering means that you go on the website itself. For example, I may go on this website, HTML, test HTML. So let me just remove PHP. You can go on PHP if you want. I will go in the HTML version. So I just go on this website, and now I start attacking this website. So for example, I may try to go ahead and use some of the payloads in this one, which may generate some some code for me. So for example, there is a script tag. I'm going to use a script tag here. All right, and I say let's say alert 1 2 3. all right, so like this is a script tag I just use. I can say go, and you can say this page is vulnerable with the XSS, which is cross-site scripting. You will learn about these kind of things in the course itself, but I just want to be clear that in passive information gathering, you are not touching the website itself. You are not testing the website. You are not interacting with the target. In active information, you interact with the target. So for example, here I just found that there is XSS vulnerability in this website, in this search form. This is how you do the active information gathering, and generally it is done on the tools like Nmap and all to gather information. So this is like the information, but in web pen testing, it's generally about testing the target itself. That's how you do active information gathering. I'll keep the series going. Till then, have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗪, and in this lecture we will be talking about the difference between the source code review and fuzzing. These are the two terms which you will hear a lot in this industry, and they depend on the type of penetration testing you are doing. So the web application penetration testing can be done in three major types, which are the black box testing, the white box testing, and the gray box testing. When you're doing a white box testing, for example, let us suppose that this page I just opened, this is the website, and I want to test it. In a white box testing, I will get the source code of the website itself. So the source code is the code which is making the website. Now I can go ahead and review the code, and I can say, alright, is there any vulnerability in this code? Is there any vulnerability in this code? Right? I can find vulnerabilities by watching the code itself. That's called the source code review. So even if I just go ahead and switch the security to low and I say submit, right, and let me just open anything like this one, CSRF, it's a password changing form, right? Let's try to see the source code. Now being a white box penetration test, I have access to this. I can see that password new, it takes the password from user. Password confirm, it takes the confirmation password from user. And do the password match, it checks that the new password equals confirmation password, and then it simply go ahead and change the password in the database. So if everything works, it just shows you that the password was changed. If there is some problem, it gives you an error, right? Now this is how I can try to find out if there is a vulnerability in this or not. There is a vulnerability in this page, right? There is a vulnerability that how is this website going to make sure that this password request was created by the user, not by a hacker. We will be talking about this vulnerability in the course itself, the CSRF vulnerability, but right now just understand that source code review means you have access to this source code and you are able to view and compare things in it. This was a part of white box penetration testing. What happens in gray box is that you get some part of source code. Let's say you get some parts of source code and you get some information, or you are in middle of having a source code or not having a source code. It can be any kind of middle. That's a gray box. What happens in black box is that you don't have access to the source code. For example, you have access to Facebook website. You don't have access to its source code. So if you want to test it, you are going to test it using the fields, right? They have a login field, they have a password field. That's where you are going to test it, right? When you try to input a lot of different things, so let's say I try something here, let's say I try to make some exploit here, I try to add some code here, I try to exploit this application. That is called fuzzing. I am trying to fuzz this application. I am trying to give malicious inputs to make non-intentional outputs, right? Malicious inputs to get non-intentional outputs. This is called fuzzing. The difference between both of them were that in a source code review, you have the source code. In fuzzing, you are just doing hit and trial kind of things. So this was all about source code review versus fuzzing. I'll keep the series going. Till then, have a great day. Welcome back everyone. This is Sagar from 𝗪𝗚𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture, I will talk about what is XSS. XSS stands for cross-site scripting. Now, there is a rule in web development or any kind of development that never trust a user, right? But mostly developers forget this. They think that a user is a legit person. XSS occurs when the application is not validating and sanitizing the inputs. This may seem complicated. Let me just give you an example. When you see the DVWA reflected XSS page, you will see that there is what's your name, right? And there's a field where you can enter your name. Let's say I enter 𝗪𝗔𝗪𝗔𝗬. You can say submit and it shows you hello 𝗪𝗔𝗪𝗧𝗛. So think about how the application is working in the background, right? This is taking a value here. That value is being combined with hello and then the value, and the result is being printed out on the web page as it is. Now the security failure in this application is that this application is trusting the user. That user will only enter the name here. What if I add some payload or malicious code that will damage the whole website, or any kind of code injection that will do something malicious? If you see the source code of this website, let me just zoom in. You will see that echo, hello, and get name. So there is no security at all. This is one line PHP code where it is simply printing the value which user is giving. And this gives rise to the XSS. If I give some malicious code instead of this name, in this value, if I give some malicious code, it will execute that code on the website without checking anything. And it can be a high-level vulnerability in some cases. So in next lecture, I will show you how you can find and exploit XSS. Till then, have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗚𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture, we will be talking about the active information gathering. So what exactly is active information gathering? Unlike passive information, in active information we directly communicate with the target. So there are so many ways in which you can communicate with the target. You can go ahead and perform scanning, you can go ahead and perform enumeration, right? So a very famous tool to perform scanning is Nmap, and to use Nmap you just say Nmap and then you give the target. In this case, I have used test.html.vulnweb.com because you are free to test this website. Then you can actually specify some flags like ST, SS, and there are so many. You can add -A to be aggressive, right? So there are various kind of scans available in Nmap, but a standard scan is when you don't give any parameter. So it takes a lot of time to scan. That's why I performed it in advance. Now when you press enter, it starts the scan, and it show you the output right over here. It says it found port 21, port 22, 25, 53, 80, 106, 118, 143, 465, and 993, and even these different ports. So you can see there are more ports here, right? So now this is this is showing you that what's the service running over here. So this is how you can use Nmap. There are many other tools like this, and there are many other flags in Nmap that can be utilized. Now this is more focused on a penetration testing and offensive hacking stuff. But when we come to a web application penetration testing, generally the active data gathering means that you go on the website itself. For example, I may go on this website, HTML, test HTML. So let me just remove PHP. You can go on PHP if you want. I will go in the HTML version. So I just go on this website, and now I start attacking this website. So for example, I may try to go ahead and use some of the payloads in this one, which may generate some some code for me. So for example, there is a script tag. I'm going to use a script tag here. All right, and I say let's say alert 1 2 3. All right, so like this is a script tag I just use. I can say go, and you can say this page is vulnerable with the XSS, which is cross-site scripting. You will learn about these kind of things in the course itself, but I just want to be clear that in passive information gathering, you are not touching the website itself. You are not testing the website. You are not interacting with the target. In active information, you interact with the target. So for example, here I just found that there is XSS vulnerability in this website, in this search form. This is how you do the active information gathering, and generally it is done on the tools like Nmap and all to gather information. So this is like the information, but in web pen testing, it's generally about testing the target itself. That's how you do active information gathering. I'll keep the series going. Till then, have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture we will be talking about the difference between the source code review and fuzzing. These are the two terms which you will hear a lot in this industry, and they depend on the type of penetration testing you are doing. So the web application penetration testing can be done in three major types, which are the black box testing, the white box testing, and the gray box testing. When you're doing a white box testing, for example, let us suppose that this page I just opened, this is the website, and I want to test it. In a white box testing, I will get the source code of the website itself. So the source code is the code which is making the website. Now I can go ahead and review the code, and I can say, alright, is there any vulnerability in this code? Is there any vulnerability in this code? Right? I can find vulnerabilities by watching the code itself. That's called the source code review. So even if I just go ahead and switch the security to low and I say submit, right, and let me just open anything like this one, CSRF, it's a password changing form, right? Let's try to see the source code. Now being a white box penetration test, I have access to this. I can see that password new, it takes the password from user. Password confirm, it takes the confirmation password from user. And do the password match, it checks that the new password equals confirmation password, and then it simply go ahead and change the password in the database. So if everything works, it just shows you that the password was changed. If there is some problem, it gives you an error, right? Now this is how I can try to find out if there is a vulnerability in this or not. There is a vulnerability in this page, right? There is a vulnerability that how is this website going to make sure that this password request was created by the user, not by a hacker. We will be talking about this vulnerability in the course itself, the CSRF vulnerability, but right now just understand that source code review means you have access to this source code, and you are able to view and compare things in it. This was a part of white box penetration testing. What happens in gray box is that you get some part of source code. Let's say you get some parts of source code and you get some information, or you are in middle of having a source code or not having a source code. It can be any kind of middle. That's a gray box. What happens in black box is that you don't have access to the source code. For example, you have access to Facebook website. You don't have access to its source code. So if you want to test it, you are going to test it using the fields, right? They have a login field, they have a password field. That's where you are going to test it, right? When you try to input a lot of different things, so let's say I try something here, let's say I try to make some exploit here, I try to add some code here, I try to exploit this application. That is called fuzzing. I am trying to fuzz this application. I am trying to give malicious inputs to make non-intentional outputs, right? Malicious inputs to get non-intentional outputs. This is called fuzzing. The difference between both of them were that in a source code review, you have the source code. In fuzzing, you are just doing hit and trial kind of things. So this was all about source code review versus fuzzing. I'll keep the series going. Till then, have a great day. Welcome back everyone. This is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture, I will tell you what is CSRF. CSRF is a very common vulnerability and stands for cross-site request forgery. As the name suggests, it's a forgery of request. Whenever you do anything on a website, your browser sends request to the website, and the website sends response to your browser. But what if we can steal that request, or we can modify that request? It can lead to stealing of passwords, changing of passwords, account takeovers, changing balances, taking actions, sending emails, friend requests, or any other kind of actions that the user never requested, but because he or she clicked on some button or a link which we created got executed. Let me tell you what exactly it looked like in practical. Let's say this website has this changing the password. I say A and A, both of the fields, and I say change. Now you will see that password gets changed, right? And the URL is having password new is equal to A, and password confirm is equal to A, and action change is equal to change, right? This kind of behavior gives rise to the CSRF. Why this vulnerability is occurring? Because there is no way to validate that this request was created by the user or someone else. And that's how CSRF can be very dangerous. I will continue this series, and in next lecture I will show you how to detect and secure CSRF. Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture we are going to continue with this CSRF. First of all, I will request you to change the security level to low, and let's get started. In CSRF, you will see when I change the password to anything, it's just changed the password, and there is no way to validate that this request was generated by me as a user. When you view the source, you will see that it is getting the input. So get input, password new and password confirm, right? Two inputs, and then it updates that thing in the database. It simply updates that thing. You will see that there is no anti-CSRF token in this, and that's the thing. There is no protection at all. So how do you exploit such kind of things? When you get this request right over here, you can copy this thing, or actually you can change this password. Let's say password is equal to new, this A, let's say I change it to B, and password confirm equals B as well, right? Let us say I copied this thing and I send it to anyone. Let us say this is a new user and he opens this page. As soon as he opens this page, he didn't added any password, he didn't requested any change, but because this was a request, his password has been changed to B. You can verify that password changed. This is how CSRF can be dangerous. Let me show you how the developer may try to protect against this kind of thing on a medium security. So here the developer has a view that if there is someone who is going to attack the website using CSRF, he will be sending the request, let's say password A and A. I say change, it works. But when you send the same request to someone else, let's say this user, and you press enter, it doesn't work. You can see request didn't look correct. Why it doesn't work? Let me show you the source. In this case, developer is thinking that if the request is coming from the same website, then it is legit, otherwise it is not. And that's the main thing. Here, if the server HTTP referrer is equal to the server name, what this means? It means that if this request came through anything that was from this website, localhost/dvwa. To show this thing, I will show you in burp suite. It is very important topic and you should know this. Let me open burp suite here. And let me set the burp proxy. And I hope you have till now learned how to do this. I will go in settings. I will say manual proxy and I'll just say OK. Proxy set in burp suite. We go and we start a temporary project. And give it a second. Here you go. In proxy, when I say intercept is on, let me try to change the password in a legit way where it actually works. And I say change. And here, okay, request didn't came in. Let me do intercept on again. Let's try again. And seems like we have some problem with the burp. Let's check the network settings again. Port 8080, everything seems fine. Let's click on OK. Let's try to go to the website again, because it sometimes happens. Yes, it is now working. You can see the request is coming here. I will say intercept off and I will go there first. Okay, now let's try to intercept the traffic. I say password is A and A. And I say change. And let's see the request. See, this is the request. I will simply copy this thing. And I will open a text editor. Let's say Notepad. And let me open a new file. And this is the request, right? This is the request that works. So request that works. Now let's see request that doesn't works. Okay, let's try to grab the request that doesn't works. I will simply say drop everything and we will take the same request. We will close all these tabs. We don't need them. And now we will intercept the traffic and we will go right over here. Let's press enter. So this is the request that doesn't work, right? Let's copy this. Let's paste it right here. Okay. And let me forward everything and intercept is off. So that's all. Now in this area you will see what's different? Get, host, user agent, accept, right? These lines, you can see they are exactly the same. Because these lines are same, let's just remove them, because they are exactly the same. And I believe I removed one and more line here. Yes, so you can just see the clear difference. If I just remove these 5 lines, and if I remove these 5 lines here as well, you will see there is an additional parameter, referrer. So here you have the referrer header. In the request that works, you have the referrer header. In request that doesn't work, you don't have the referrer header. So this is the only thing that's bringing this difference. Now for the referrer header, you can simply have this request on a page which is on the same website. Let me tell you what I mean. So I just copy this thing, and let's say this access is stored. Okay, let me just say A, and let me just add a tag here. So a tag, and I'll say equals okay, there is a limit, so I'll remove the limit here. And I will remove this. Okay, this is my request, and I say click here. Okay, I close my a tag. So I basically added a tag that should generate a link which is called click here, and the link is going to take the user to this modified request. I say sign in, and now okay, we don't see that, maybe because we are on a high level of security. I will go in the security level, I will change it to low. Then I will go in the stored accesses. Let me just say A here. Let me just change this thing. Okay, let me sign this thing in the guest book. We have click here button. Let's go back to the same security, medium, and let me go in the stored. So now the point which I am trying to say here is that the request doesn't work until the referrer header is from the same website. But let's say this is a chatting app, or this is something like Facebook or something where you can post links. I added this link. Now if someone clicks on this link, because the link is on the same website, the referrer header will also be the same, and it will process my request. Let me click here and it should work. I click here and you see password changed. So this is how you compromise the security when developer is trying to be smart, right? He's trying to validate the referrer header, but that doesn't help anyhow. On the high level of security, I want to tell you something that the developer has done a really great work. When you go here, you go ahead and see the source. You will find that the developer is now checking for the anti-CSRF token. Let me just show you where he is doing that. You see check token, request user token, and session ID, right? So here the developer has done a fabulous work. He is checking the CSRF token, and this is somewhat secure version. There is one hypothetical situation where this can be compromised. Let's say the website has another vulnerability. Let's say the access is stored or access is reflected. Then we can use some JavaScript to steal this token and then redirect the user with the token and the new password. But that is a hypothetical situation and you won't get that in real world, right? So having a CSRF token pretty much secures the way. In an impossible level where the security is extra secure, you can see what the developer will do. When you go here, there is the new element which is current password. So you can steal the token, you can steal the request, right? But you cannot steal the current password. Obviously, if you have the current password, you can directly log in and reset the password. You won't do all of this thing, right? And that's what makes this application super secure at this time. Including the current password in the request makes it secure. That's how CSRF works. I'll continue this series in the next lectures. Till then, have a great day. Hey, welcome back everyone. This is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗛, and in this lecture we're going to start my favorite SQL injection. Now SQL injection is a very serious vulnerability which is even found in many websites. There is a online banking site called 𝗪𝗀𝗫𝗄𝗀, and this has been developed by IBM for testing purposes, right? So when you search this, you can go on the website and you will find a real banking website. Now remember, this is for the testing purposes and you are free to test it, right? You can do anything with this website. It's just for the testing purposes. Now SQL injection, as the name suggests, it's all about injecting the SQL code, right? The structured query language. If you remember how a website works, there is always a database in the backend that is storing the information, right? That database speaks a language which is the SQL, right? Now, let's say on this sign-in page, there are these two fields and these are some of the attack vectors. I will tell you these later. Let's say in these two fields I add Sagar in the username and 𝗪𝗀𝗧𝗛 in the password. I say login. It will of course deny my login because my information is not in the database, right? You can see my information is not there in the database. That's why it fails. But what if I can use these fields to talk to the database and give him some manipulative commands that lets me in? Let me tell you one command that's very easy. There is the apostrophe and there is the minus minus, which is hyphen as well. Okay. Now apostrophe means ignore whatever is there in your code. So let's say there is a, whatever there in your code before this a. And this hyphen or minus minus, it means ignore whatever there is after this a. So basically I'm saying that only focus on this statement which I am writing right now. Okay. And I say or 1 equal 1. Okay. I give it this command. Now this is a structured query language and this command means ignore whatever there is in your code, check, okay, check 1 equal 1, which is always true because 1 is always equal to 1, right? Check that and ignore whatever there is in your code after my command, right? So let me just copy this thing. Let me say copy this thing, paste it right here. Let me try to log in. And if everything works fine, we log in as the first user, which is the admin user in this account. Do you understand how it happened? Let me go back, let me sign off, and let me explain you that thing. Okay, let's go and sign in. And this is the command, right? So password and this exactly same. I set the database that, see, in the database it should be that check username is equal to the username and check if password is equal to password. This should be the real world application, right? But I said that ignore whatever you are having in your code and only check if 1 is equal to 1. If it is, then approve me. And same as the password. So exactly it did whatever I wanted to do and it approved me. Now, why this vulnerability occurs? Because of the sanitation and validation, as we have been talking in all the things till now. The developer is not sanitizing or validating the inputs. Developer is trusting the user. He is trusting that user will enter username in this field. However, we are entering an SQL query. Now you don't need to learn SQL queries or this whole language because it's too time consuming, and there are tools which can be used to automate this process. One of those tools is SQL Map, and I will continue this series with SQL Map in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day. Welcome back everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗓𝗓. In this lecture, I will show you how to detect excesses and then even bypass some of the filters that some so-called smart developers use. First of all, we will be exploiting the excesses on low level, then we will go to medium and then on high. So right now I have set my DVW security to low level, and we will be compromising the reflected excesses. In reflected excesses, the excesses payload needs to be injected in the URL itself. For example, when we see the source code of this page, you will notice that there is no security mechanism and it is simply printing the name as it is. So if I use a script tag, which can be a JavaScript, let's say script, and I add anything in between this script tag, it should render. Let me just add a very simple alert. Well, let me just add an alert as 1. So when we submit this thing, you will see that a pop-up comes which is an alert and it says 1. This means that the website is infected with the XSS vulnerability. But which kind of vulnerability? Now when you see in the URL, it is giving the parameter as it is. There is this script alert and then this script and this hash. This is the reflected XSS, where the XSS is in the URL or the HTTP parameter. Now when you copy this thing and you send it to anyone, let's say I will paste it directly, you will see that this XSS works. So this URL is now infected with the XSS payload. Instead of using the script tag with alert, I may use something like a cookie stealer, or I may use some virus or a backdoor or anything. So that's the severity of excesses. When you talk about some secure applications, let's go ahead and change the security to medium. So here the security is medium. When you go on XSS reflected and you try to apply the same payload, it may or may not work. So let me just use the same payload and I say submit. You will see it says alert 1. It simply means that the script tag is not working. But let's check the source code and analyze what's the problem. Now here you will see the name parameter that is using the string replace. So it is replacing the string and it is replacing script tag with null value. So it is simply removing the script tag. Now in such kind of cases, there are many options available to you. You can use some variations in script tag. You will see 𝗪𝗔𝗞𝗘. This is simply filtering the script tag which is in lowercase. What if I change this thing in uppercase? Let us see that. Instead of using script tag in lowercase, I change the script tag in uppercase. And right here as well. So now you see I have changed the script tag in uppercase and it works. This happens because the application is not validating the input. Instead, it is simply trying to remove the lowercase script tag. If this doesn't work, we could have even tried to capitalize one or two letters. Let's say S will be capitalized here, and let's say R will be capitalized here, and you will see that this combination will actually work as well. You can see it works. So these are some of the bypassing techniques when some so-called smart developer tries to defend against excesses. When you move on to the high level of security, you will notice that the developer has now done some great work. Let us try to use the XSS same payload. Let's say I will capitalize the I here and I will capitalize the P here. When you go ahead and submit this thing, it doesn't work now as well. So when you check the source code, the developer has done a good work. He or she has replaced the each character. So it is checking for characters 𝗪𝗞𝗘. In this case, it is simply checking each and every character and all of their combinations. Rather it is uppercase or lowercase, any different combinations, that is making this script tag. That is really fine. Script tag is not only one kind of injection in XSS. You can use some other HTML element. For example, the body element. Let us try to form the same script with the body. Let's say body, and let me close the body. Now in the body tag, I will say onLoad. So we are using the onLoad parameter, and here I can give it, let's say onLoad equals, and I can give it anything like alert again. Let's say 1, and let's try to fire this up now. You will see it works on this time. Now because this body tag is a different element in the XSS right here, we are not using this script tag. This body tag works. Let me show you how you can actually secure a web application from XSS. You can see the secure version in the impossible level. Let us move down and say submit. Now let's go ahead on XSS reflected. Let's go to view source. This is the source. In this specific thing, it is checking the HTML special characters, right? That's the thing here. It is not filtering anything this time, but it is simply checking that there is no HTML special character in that, right? So it is basically removing anything which is from HTML and simply allowing plain text. This is the perfect example of securing a web app against excesses. Always remember, you can never trust user, so you should always validate the inputs. And this is how XSS reflected works. Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗓𝗓, and in this lecture we will do some practical on command injection. So first of all, get to the security level is low and we will increase it gradually. Let's say here it is asking me an IP address, and that's fine. You can give it an IP address or you can give it a domain name if you have an active internet connection, and it should work, right? Let's say I submit, and then it'll give me the IP address of Google, right? This is how it is working. But as you remember, we saw in source code, it is not sanitizing the input. There is no way to check that the ping right here, it is going for the target, and this target is a IP address, a domain name, or it is a command. There is no way to check that. So can we do one thing? Can we do a, let's say google.com, can we add a colon here, okay, and we say anything like dir. So dir is a command which gives the directories, right? And this colon, if you use DOS or Linux bash or anything like terminal or something, you should know that this colon means that this command has been terminated, and then I'm giving another command in the same line. When you say this colon and you try to submit, you will see that Okay, seems like it doesn't runs the request. Find host this. Okay, it doesn't works. Let me try something else. google.com space colon. Let me try this, and it doesn't works. Bad parameter. That's fine. Sometimes this doesn't works. So what else can you do in such situations? There is this colon, and then there is another one which is ampersand. So I can say google.com ampersand dir. Now in a colon I'm saying that first command has been terminated and then apply the second command. In ampersand I'm saying first command and second command. So here I'm giving you two commands at the same time. When you submit this, let's see if it will work. Yes, it works. You will see that directory listing is coming right here. So ping actually finished right here. Here the ping command finishes, and volume in drive, it starts right here. So it is actually rendering my commands, and I can control this machine. Now remember, if the colon doesn't works, you use ampersand. If ampersand doesn't works, you even have a pipe symbol. That basically means or. So this command or this command. Now here I will give an invalid IP address or domain. Let's say A or S, right? I'm given A. So A or use dir command. Now ping A will not give any result, so it will use the dir command. Let's submit. And it's taking some time, and here you see the second command runs, right? So we learned three things. The colon, that means command has been terminated. This is the second command. The ampersand, that means first command and second command. The or sign, which is the pipe sign, means first command or second command. That's the thing. When you go in the medium security level and you say submit and you say command injection, and let me just show you the source code. The developer tries to be smart, and he says that double ampersand, which is a logical and the colon will be blacklisted. So you cannot use these. But again, can you use a single and? Yes. Can you use a pipe symbol? Yes. Those can be used, right? Now in the first case, the colon was not blacklisted, but it is not rendering in my case. And that can happen. It sometimes happens, right? When one thing doesn't work, you use the second thing. In this case, these two will not work, but pipe symbol should work. So let's try the pipe symbol. And this is one of the favorite vulnerabilities which I like, because here you can be creative as you want. So let's try this. Let's wait, and it should work. And here you go. It works. And let me show you something else. The double ampersand or the logical and doesn't works, right? It doesn't works, and you will see an error here. You see it doesn't works, but the single ampersand will work because it is not blacklisted again. So the point to understand here is that when as a developer you trust user and you try to be smart by implementing blacklist, it never works. You see, it works. Now let me just go on the third one, which is TVWA high level, and go on the command injection and show you the source. And you will see that developer tries to be over smart this time, and he is substituting the whole blacklist. Single ampersand doesn't work, colon doesn't work, these brackets and all these signs doesn't work, even the pipe symbol doesn't work. But again, never trust the user. You can see all of these are single characters. I can use a double ampersand, I can use a double pipe symbol, I can use any other thing, and I can like double them and make them logical. So in this case, let me try to show you. This doesn't work because it has been replaced in the blacklist. You will see it will not work. Give it a second and you see it doesn't work. But I can just use a logical one. I can just like double this thing, and now this will work. And you see, this works. So that's the thing. You never want to use blacklists when possible. And let me show you the secure version of this. So how do you actually secure it? Let me just go in the submit and command injection, view source. Here you won't find any blacklist at all. You see, there's no blacklist. What it is doing, the application is actually changed. First of all, it checks for the anti-CSRF token, right? That's for the CSRF. Then further, it takes the input. It takes the IP address. Then you see right here, it checks if the IP address is an integer. So it is checking if it is number or not. Then what it is doing, it is breaking the IP address in 4 parts. So you will see it is breaking them in 4 parts. And then it is putting those all 4 parts together. You can see that, right? This whole thing, you can see this whole thing, it is recreating that IP address. So first part of the IP address, it is adding a dot. Second part of the IP address, it is adding a dot. Third part of the IP address, it is adding a dot. And similarly fourth part of the IP address. It is recreating the whole IP address, and this whole thing is securing this whole shell. So you basically cannot exploit this, because it checks that it is a number, then further it divides that into 4 parts, it removes the dots, then it assembles that thing again. So it is disassembling and assembling, and there is no blacklist. This is how you secure an environment. That's why. So it's not trusting the user at all, right? And I still don't understand that on the low level, when you go on the low level, you say submit, you go in the command injection, when you see right here, you will see there is no security at all. So the colon should have actually worked, but in my environment the colon is not working. So your homework is that try this thing and try to have that colon. Okay, so try to add this colon, semicolon, right? Let me just try this once more, and it actually doesn't work for me, but maybe it'll work for you, right? Let me do one thing. Let me try this as well. 127.0.0.1. I'm giving it a legit IP address this time. It says cannot find the host, right? That's the thing. So maybe it doesn't work for me, but it may work for you, right? You want to try that up? And I will keep trying on by adding different IP addresses here, right? Let's say 8.8.8.8. That's the IP address of Google. Okay, so maybe this will work for me. I'm not sure, but it may work in your environment, or maybe try it on a Linux, right? It's a Windows environment. Maybe try it on a Linux. Yep, it doesn't work for me, but you see the ampersand gives the thing. Ampersand just works, and that's how you can actually exploit things. And you need to be flexible when these kind of things happens. You cannot rely on one method, so always try 2 or 3 methods, right? It works with the ampersand. That's the thing. That's how you exploit the vulnerability, and I'll keep the series going. Till then, have a great day. Welcome back everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗪, and in this lecture I will tell you what is CSRF. CSRF is a very common vulnerability and stands for cross-site request forgery. As the name suggests, it's a forgery of request. Whenever you do anything on a website, your browser sends a request to the website, and the website sends response to your browser. But what if we can steal that request, or we can modify that request? It can lead to stealing of passwords, changing of passwords, account takeovers, changing balances, taking actions, sending emails, friend requests, or any other kind of actions that the user never requested, but because he or she clicked on some button or a link which we created got executed. Let me tell you what exactly it looked like in practical. Let's say this website has this changing the password. I say A and A, both of the fields, and I say change. Now you will see that password gets changed, right? And the URL is having password new is equal to A and password confirm is equal to A and action change is equal to change, right? This kind of behavior gives rise to the CSRF. Why this vulnerability is occurring? Because there is no way to validate that this request was created by the user or someone else. And that's how CSRF can be very dangerous. I will continue this series, and in next lecture I will show you how to detect and secure CSRF. Hey, welcome back everyone. This is Sagar from 𝗪𝗚𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture we will be talking about the file upload vulnerability. Now you might see that most of the web applications today accept files, but have you ever thought that where those files are stored? Generally, you will find that in 90% of the cases, those files are stored on the same server where the web application is hosted. Now, if this application is not validating the file extension and the file content, this can be very dangerous and leads to full system takeover. So there are 3 levels in DVWA for file upload vulnerability. Now you should understand that most of the servers are capable of running PHP files, and we can upload a PHP shell which can give us some amount of access on that server. So in the next lecture, we will start exploiting the file upload vulnerability on DVWA. Hey, welcome back everyone. This is Sagar from 𝗪𝗚𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture we will actually exploit this file upload form. So right now I am on the low level of security, and when you go ahead and view the source, you will see that it's a simple PHP script that accepts a file, right? Let's try to upload an image file. So I will go ahead and click on browse, and right over here I have an image called sagar.jpeg or JPEG, and let's try to upload it. And you will see that it uploads the file in hackable upload sagar.jpeg, right? So this file was successfully uploaded. Now let's try something else. Let me try to create a new file, and we are going to say this thing shell.php. So in this lecture we will try to upload this blank file which is shell.txt, and in next lecture I will introduce you with a popular shell which you can use in your real life pen testing. Here we have shell.php, and let's try to upload it. So you will see that on low level there is no security at all, and it successfully uploaded the shell.php. Now that's the hardest part. Uploading a file is the hardest part. You can get this shell.php very easily from internet, or you can even create your own shell, and once you upload this file you can take over this whole server very easily. I'll show that in the next lecture, but till then let's focus on uploading the file on the medium level. Now let's go ahead and change it to medium level here, and let's try to upload the shell.php directly, right? We say browse, and we go ahead and open shell.php here, right? Let's try to upload it, and you will see your image was not uploaded. We only accept JPEG or PNG images. Now this seems secure, right? But let's try to analyze it. We will fuzz it and we will analyze it. I want you to open burp suite. Here you go. Just start a temporary project and configure the burp proxy. So you go to options, network settings, and just add that proxy here. And you go and manual proxy settings and manual proxy configurations. Just click on OK. We don't need it now. Here is the burp suite, right? let's go ahead and try to intercept the traffic, right? I'll say intercept on, and let's try to upload the same file again. So here is the shell.php, you say upload. This is the request that's coming from the DVWA. Now let's go ahead and copy up this whole request. I'll say copy and I'll open a text editor. So in this case I'll go with Notepad++. You can use any text editor, whichever you like. And we'll paste it right here. Okay, so this is the request that doesn't work, right? We need one more. Let's go on the browser. I'll just drop this request, or I'll just intercept off, and let's go ahead and select another file which actually works, which is this image. I'll just say intercept on this time, and I'll say upload. This is the request, and this one actually works, right? I'll say copy and I'll go right over here. So we will drop it as well, we don't need it. Intercept off. Okay, now let's try to analyze what's the difference in both of these requests. You will see post DVWA vulnerability, host, user agent, accept, and referer, right? All of these things will be exactly the same, and you can right over here see. Then there is the content type, which says multipart/form data in the request of shell, and here you will see content type multipart form data in the request that works. So in both of the cases it actually is the same. Okay, we can forget about it. Then we have content length. Obviously the length will be different. We have the DNT, connection close, and there is the cookie, and these are some other headers right over here, right? And here I think the content maximum file size, and it says some other things, file name right here, and here is content type again, which is image.jpg, right? In this case, when you go down below, you will see everything is exactly the same. Here is the file name. After that, content type, it says application/octet stream. Now if you know about web servers or Nginx or Apache, this is a file type which is given to all other things which are not fitting in the default categories, like music files, video files, audio files, etc. So the application/octet stream, this is the only thing that's making a difference in this whole request. Now you should also know the content type header is only for the server, not for the application. So you can always mess with it. So let's try to do one thing. Let's try to copy the content type header of the image right over here. We will say copy in the request that works, and let's try to upload the shell this time. We go back, we say intercept off, or actually on. We say browse. Let's try to upload shell here. Okay, let's try to say upload. Here is the request, and let's mess with this thing, application octet stream. We will remove it, and we will paste the content type header of the request that works, which is an image JPEG header. Let's try to forward it, and here you can see it successfully got uploaded. So this is how you bypass the applications which are checking for the file extension based on the header type, content header type. Let me just go ahead and show you the source code here. When you talk about the source code, you will see if upload type is image/JPEG. This is the content type header which we just replaced, or, so this is the logical or, as I told you. Upload type is equal to image/PNG. Now PNG will come in case you upload the PNG file. So we just messed with this line and successfully uploaded the file as it is, right? And that's how it works. Let me try something else. And I'm going to show you something on the high level of security. And now again, the high level of security in this case is treating as a hypothetical situation where the developer is thinking that this application is actually secure, and the developer is thinking that no one can upload a file and then change its extension. Okay, that's the thing. So if you don't understand this thing, let me explain you. If we go ahead and we try to upload the same file through the way which we did right now, I say intercept on and I say upload, and right here if I just try to change the content type, you will see it will not work. So I forwarded that and you will see it was not uploaded because we only accept JPEG and PNG images. Now that's actually fine, but why it was not uploaded? Because the developer is actually using a security now. So right here you will see that it is not checking the content type header which is from the server, rather it is checking the file extension. You can see upload extension, and it is using the strip function to remove the extension and then check the extension. So if the extension is equal to JPEG or JPEG, right, or JPG, or right here you can see PNG, right, then it is going to allow us to upload the file. In such a case, you cannot mess with the server headers, you need to mess up with the extension itself. So let me show you something. You can do one thing. Just suppose that this file .php, it has the PHP things, the code, but you rename it as PNG or JPEG, JPEG. Okay, you just rename it as a JPEG. Now still it has the same contents of the PHP and you have uploaded it as a JPG, right? Now you go ahead and you try to upload this file shell.jpg, you say upload. When it will get uploaded, you will notice that it's a JPEG file. Now the problem here comes is, how will you fire that JPEG file? I mean, in case of a PHP, so let me show you. In case of a PHP, you can simply go in the location where it got uploaded. So I'll say dbwa/hackable /uploads, and you will find that there are all kind of files. In case of PHP, you can directly open that and it will work, but in case of JPEG, it will always open the image and not render the PHP. So that's a hypothetical situation, and if you can run this JPEG anyhow, maybe there is another vulnerability like command injection, or there is some other vulnerability like SQL injection, due to which you can rename that file in the server itself. Then you can compromise such situation. But I would say that on high level it is actually secure. So unless there is another vulnerability present, you cannot exploit it. But still it's a very low level vulnerability which you can report in this case as well. Now we successfully uploaded a fake shell, but now it's time to show you how a real shell look like. So in the next lecture I will show you a real shell and its consequences. Till then, have a great day. Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗓𝗓, and in this lecture I want to show you how exactly you can find some of the real world shells which you can use in your testing. So this is a very easy web shell that I found on internet, and here you can see it's a HTML kind of thing. There it's actually a PHP script, you can just see right here, and what it do is it's going to give you a form that's gonna give you a field, right, that's gonna say command. There you can add your command, whatever command you want to run on that server, and there is a submit button, right, and as soon as you press submit, that command goes with system and it used the PHP value that's get cmd. That's a like command execution kind of parameter, and with the help of that you are able to run commands on the server. This is the first shell, and it's a very easy shell. You can code it yourself, or you can go on internet, you can say cmd web shell and you should get it, right. Another shells which I want to introduce you are C99. C99 is a very famous shell. Then there is the R57, and it's a great shell as well. So with the R57, that's there is a website. Let me just show you. R57. When you say R57, it shall land you up on a website. Is my internet working? Yes. So this is R57 official website. Over here you will find many shells. So it's a upload shell, R57, C99, and there are many others as well, and you can use each of them. My personal favorite is C99, but you can try yours, whatever you guys would like to have. Just for the proof of concept, I just want to show you something. Let me just go ahead, say save. Okay, it's already saved. So it's a like shell.php. I just saved this script in the uploadable folder, and when you now go on the dvwa, okay, I think I pressed something else. Let me go again. Localhost dvwa hackable and uploads. Okay, now here let me just run this shell.php, and you can very well see that's fine. It says undefined index. It should not be a problem in CMD in line 9. Here you get the execute script, right? Similarly, I actually coded one more. This one was my own, so I coded it myself. And here you can add any kind of command, right? And you can say send, and it will work, right? And this is the C99, R57, and others. I still don't understand why it says undefined index CMD in line 9. Let me just see. In line 9, if get CMD. Okay, id is equal to CMD. It's over here. That's really fine. Maybe this shell doesn't work. I found it on internet, but you can find yourself. This one works. Let me show you its code right here. C99. So this is the C99 shell. You can see it's a huge amount of code. It's a huge amount of lines, and let me just go really down below to show you how many lines of code it is. It is 8,025 lines of code. So that's why you can go ahead and try this up, right? There are some other shells, like for the R57. Let me show you how big that is. R57 is also around similar kind of length. It is 7,665 lines of code, and they provide you all the features like executing commands, scoping files, uploading files, even the full system shutdown. So you can pretty much go ahead, download them, play with them, try to upload it, and try to run them, right? Just go ahead. It's really fun. Try it, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome back, everyone. This is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗬, and in this lecture we will be talking about the brute force. Brute force is a very common technique, and we use it when we have no other resort. What exactly is brute force? Well, for example, this is a login page, right? Now here you can see you have the username and the password field. Just for a hypothetical example, you don't know username and password. There is no other way to compromise this system. You don't have any other vulnerability. Then what can you do in that case? You can randomly try to guess the username and the password, right? That's the only resort. But there are so many combinations of passwords and usernames possible, and it is practically not possible for a human being to try each and every password. That's where we automate this process. We try various passwords and usernames with the help of some software, and this act is known as brute forcing. Now, brute forcing requires you to have a list of usernames and passwords. If your list contains the right username and the right password, you will be able to compromise the account. Otherwise, it will fail. It can take even days to compromise a password using the brute force, but again, that depends on your list. So just to show you the source code, Now in this source code you can see that it basically takes the username and the password. It just sanitizes them, right? Like you can see the function of strip slash is here, right? And here it takes the password input, right? It again strip slash is the password, and it then MD5 that password in the hash, as we already know that it is using MD5 to store the passwords, right? For that, here you can see default values: total failed logins 3, lockout time 15, account logged false. Okay, so this is the important part. This is how you are mitigating against the attack of brute force. You have a variable that says total failed login. So if the login fails 3 times continuously, you lock the account for 15 seconds. There is a delay of 15 seconds in the next attempt, right? And the account gets logged at that time. So here it is false, but in the code it will get true once the account fails 3 times, right? So when you implement such kind of security, when you're checking the amount of logins or the failed logins, that's where you are trying to mitigate against the attacks of brute forcing. So this is the secure version of the application. And in next lecture, I'll show you a practical on how to brute force where you don't have any such protection, where the application is not checking for the failed logins, it's not having a lockout time, etc. So we'll be doing a practical on this in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day. Hi everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗛. In this lecture, I'll show you a practical on brute force. So just go ahead and restart everything. If you have burp suite open, browser open, whatever you have, just restart that once, because brute forcing is one of those attacks which requires a lot of carefulness. It generally doesn't work in many cases. So just restart everything once, right? Because I just want to make sure that nothing is interfering between your browser and you, right? Here we have the burp suite. Let me just say intercept is off. I'll just go on localhost here. Let me just go here, localhost tvwa, and here you go. So the username is admin. The password in my case is A because we changed it. Now let me just directly go on the medium level. This will work on low, medium, high, doesn't matter. It's all about the application not validating the login attempts. Okay, let me tell you what exactly that means. I directly moved on to medium to explain you things in better way. You will see this application, it takes the username and it takes the password. Then it sanitizes the password using the MD5 function. So it creates it in a hash, right, encrypted. And then it simply check if the password and username matches in the database. If they do, then it simply gives the message welcome to the password protected area. If they don't match, then it just gives the message username or password or and password incorrect, right? Now in the whole application source code, you can see there is no way to validate that how many login attempts have been failed. That's where the brute forcing comes into the play, right? Let me just show you how this will work. You have to intercept the traffic. We will set up a manual proxy from options. We go to options. We go in the network settings. We say manual proxy configuration, and all the proxy configurations are already set. We say OK. We will go ahead and use the same fake password and username. You say login, and okay, we don't have it yet. Alright, I see. Let's try to go on another page. Right, now it is working. So when we go on another page, it was working. I'll just say intercept off. I'll come on this page again and I'll intercept it again. So this generally happens, you know, sometimes the request is not intercepting and these kind of things happen. Just go on another page and try it again. Okay, you say admin pass, check intercept is on, just go ahead and say login. You have the request in burp suite as expected, right? Now just forward this request and see the result, and you see password is incorrect. That's fine, we already know it. But the purpose of sending this request and intercepting this request was to get it in the HTTP history. Even if you don't intercept the request, it should work fine though. But I just wanted to make it easy for beginners, right? Now here is the request which we just made, this one. So now here what I will do is I'll send this request to intruder. Intruder is the tool that is used to attack an application. I'll just say right click, okay, and I'll say send to intruder, which is right here, or you can press Control I or Command I in case of Mac. So just send it to intruder, and now you will see that intruder tabs highlights, right? Just go over there, and now you have the options. What's the attack target? Localhost, port is 80, that's fine. The positions. So positions is where you have the username and the password and the another parameter, that's login. So what exactly you want to do is you want to clear all the positions. Just say clear, everything is clear now. Now you want to select the positions where you want to try different combinations. So for keeping it simple, I will leave username as admin, and we will only try to brute force the password. You can use the same method to brute force the username as well, or combine both of them. Select the variable, so in this case PASS that I added, and just say add. And now this PASS, this becomes the variable. So we just told burp suite that this is the thing that you have to try again and again in this whole attack. Go on the payloads, which is the third tab after selecting the positions, and here you have payload set. So set one, which is our password, of course, we don't have any other variable, we are attacking the password only. Then the payload type, you have a lot of different types, right? You have a simple list, you have a runtime file, you have even like a complete brute forcer where you don't need passwords. So you have different type of brute force. The simplest type of brute forcing is using a password list. Okay, I'll show you what that means. You say simple list, and here you add a list of passwords, right? For example, I'll say here Sagar, okay, let's say Bansal, let's say password, right, and let's say admin A B C, right? So let's say I want my software, my brute forcer, to attack the password field with all these passwords, right? Now if I have to do it manually, it will take me a lot of time, but the brute forcing software can do it in seconds, right? That's what we are trying to do. Where do you get these kind of list? Because it's not practical that you type all these passwords with hand, right? You use different softwares to generate lists. One of them is CUPP, or there are many other famous lists on the internet. One of them is dark code, right? You can check those lists. For this small test, we will use these passwords, right? And now let's go ahead and attack this. Start attack. It gives you a warning that because this is the community edition of the burp suite, intruder will throttle the attacks. So that's okay. And just wait for it to process your request now. Now it is like always, it will try a blank password from itself, and then it will try your passwords. So the attack has been completed. You can see the progress from here. Now, how do you know which password work? There are three ways. One is that you select something like this one, and then you see this request, and you can even say response and render, okay, response and render, and you will see what was the page that burp suite got after using the password. So when it used Sagar as password, it is incorrect, right? This is one way, but it will take you years again. Another way is to see the status code. In this case, status code are all 200, which is just okay, right? So we don't get any information from status code. Another way is to see the length of the response, and you can click on the length. It will sort it for you, and you will see there is one which has a length of 4747, and all other have a length of 4709. So this one is different, right? You can just select it, response, and render. Let's see what's the result of it was. You will see welcome to the password protected area, which means that this is the correct password. So A is the password of my user account. This is how you brute force things, right? This is how you brute force. And now the only thing that you have to worry about is having a list that has your password. You can again use the popular lists like the dark code. So see you in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day. Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗔𝗓, and in this lecture I will show you how you can automate all of your work using the scanners like 𝗓𝗓𝗓. Now 𝗓𝗓𝗓 is a product of Subgraph and it is pre-installed in the pentest toolbox. So you guys can just open your pentest toolbox and just say 𝗓𝗓𝗓 and then load. It can actually take some time to open, so just hold on for a second. And I just want to go little real in this case. So there is a website, you can say test.php. So I'm going to show you test.php.𝗪𝗚𝗧𝗛.com. okay, so this one, oops, I believe we just need to remove that. So this is the vulnerable website which you are free to like exploit or test, and it's like a fake kind of shopping site, right? And this is a website you can actually test. Now instead of testing for all the things, for example, I am quite sure this search bar is vulnerable with the XSS and other kind of payload attacks. Instead of doing all of this, I would simply fire up things in 𝗓𝗓𝗓. So this is 𝗓𝗓𝗓. Let me go full screen. Now 𝗓𝗓𝗓, as you can see, there is a button called scan. There is a tab, and here you can just say start new scan, right? And it will give you a lot of options. First thing is enter the base URL. So here you always want to enter the URL without a slash in the last, and make sure it is the base URL, which means that website dot the top level domain like .com, .in, .us or whatever, and there should not be anything after it, right? So let's say /account or /login, you should remove that. That's a base URL. Then you can just go ahead and say next. By the way, you can choose target for scope. So this is like choosing specific web pages, etc. That's the advanced options, but you can select the whole site by the first option. Let's just go ahead and click next. Now here you have a lot of modules. So you have like the injection modules and the RP modules. So these are the modules. Now you can select which vulnerability do you want to test for, right? So all of these vulnerabilities, the default one, let's just go with them, though you can extend the range by, let's say, choosing this one as well, right? So you can extend this range, and 𝗓𝗓𝗓 has custom modules which you can purchase in markets. By the way, they are very, very expensive. So like that, let's just click on finish, right? Or actually let's just click on next. There are some other options. In this case, let's say you want to test a website as a logged in user or as an administrator. Then you can add the cookie value right here. You can add a cookie here and it will allow you to test the website as an administrator or a logged in user. But let's test it as a anonymous user. Now here exclude the parameters. So these are like some advanced scan parameters which you can exclude from the list. If you want, you can add more here. But I'll just go ahead and click on finish, and let's do a very, very basic scan, and you will be shocked with the results which 𝗓𝗓𝗓 will bring to us. As soon as you do that, it will start making a executive summary kind of thing right here that shows you the results. So like high, like how much results found in high vulnerabilities, medium, low, and only the information, right? And on the left side you can see what are the exact web pages or subdomains or things like that. So it is right here. Then here is your scan, the progress. You can click on this arrow and it will show you the subdomains or domains. Then you can click here, it show you the detail. You can click here, it show you more details. You can then click here and you have the exact vulnerabilities, right? For example, it just says that it found SQL injection. That's the like that's one of the vulnerabilities which is most dangerous, and you have already seen how you can, like how this can be very dangerous in the SQL injection lecture. When you click there, it'll show you the whole report about this specific page and the specific vulnerability. SQL injection, that's the executive summary at a glance. The classification goes in input validation errors, because as you already know, SQL occurs when you do not sanitize the input, right? Resource, this is the exact resource. artist.php is the page where this vulnerability is. Now artist is a parameter on the website. Let's say the searching the name of artist or something from the database, that is vulnerable. For example, in the DVWA, the ID parameter was vulnerable. In this one, artist is vulnerable. Method is get. This is just the server side information. Detection type is just giving you which kind of SQL injection it has detected with which type. This is the request which it was able to, like, if you just click here, it'll just open the request. This is the request which it was able to detect the SQL injection vulnerability. This is the resource content, the like basically the page meta kind of things. Discussions, it'll show you what exactly this vulnerability can do. So Vega has detected a possible SQL injection vulnerability. These vulnerabilities are present when, like, it's just going to tell you what exactly these vulnerabilities are, when they are present, etc, etc. So basically it is also doing the report writing work for you. You don't need to write a report. You can simply copy and paste things from this, right? You can export these reports. These are the impact. So what can be the impact, and these are the remediation. It is even telling you how to solve this issue, right? This is the remediation. And the references. So if you want some more detail about this thing, like a Wikipedia page, some other like most popular kind of websites like OWASP, right? Some more right here. So it's just giving you more references, and this is how Vega can help you a lot in working with such kind of things. You can click on this, and you see in the executive summary you have cross-site scripting. See the XSS, that's on 18 pages, right? SQL injection on 7 resources, and MySQL errors were even detected. So that's also a possible injection on the 3 resources. Remote file inclusion, like 1 resource, and things like that. So you have medium level vulnerability, low level vulnerabilities, but if you combine a lot of low level, it sometimes become medium or high, and some information which can be very, very you can say important while doing such kind of things. So this is how you actually use Vega. Now I believe the scan is still not complete. Let's just see. You can see it's still not complete, less than even 50%, and we still have like all of these vulnerabilities, right? I think 49 vulnerabilities in less than 50% scan. So I'm just going to stop the scan by clicking here. All right, and that's how I just stopped the scan. And you guys can continue with this thing, and you can like check up some of the help, and you can actually go ahead and reset the workspace if you want. So it'll just reset the whole thing for you like a new one. There are some more options here which you might want to check, sorting things, etc. Like you can sort things from here. You can right click on these, and it'll remove the scan. You can right click on these, and it'll remove this kind of vulnerability, right? Specific thing if you want to remove from this, right? If you want to remove this, if you think that while testing it manually you find it was a false negative or a false positive. So what is a false positive? When the Vega is saying that it is a vulnerability, but in reality it is not. So you go and you test that thing and it is not a vulnerability. That's a false positive. A false negative is when Vega miss a vulnerability which you find in manual testing. So those kind of things always occur with these kind of scanners, and I hope I was very, very clear in this lecture. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll keep the series going. Till then, have a great day. Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗪𝗓𝗓, and in this lecture I want to go over the SCD vulnerabilities, that is the source code disclosure vulnerabilities. Now that's a category, and how does like a source code disclosure becomes a vulnerability? We will be understanding this thing. For this lecture I am on a page which is testphp.vulnweb.com/listproducts.php and then a question mark cat equals 1. Now if you want to reach this page, just open the testphp.vulnweb.com. then just go in browse categories, and in categories you can actually have all these categories. Just open anyone, you will be on this page, right? So here I want to show you how this vulnerability can be very you can say can be very dangerous. For example, we have this image here. I just click on this image and it opens this image. Very normal thing, right? Let's try one more. I just open this image and it opens it, right? But if you see the URL, you will see that show image.php file equals, and then there is a folder and the file name. Well, what exactly is going here? This website has a PHP file that is capable of opening other files of the website. This is a source code disclosure vulnerability. So this is a potential vulnerability. What can you do with this? Let's try to remove this. Let's try to press enter. And it says that the content cannot be displayed because it contains errors. If you want to see these errors, you can maybe use burp suite and intercept the request and you will get them, right? Let's do one more thing. File equals, let's try index.php. In this case, let's try to do this kind of stuff on a old kind of browser. That can be actually, I believe I have Internet Explorer. Let me try to do this work on that, because maybe it's gonna come on the errors side. The source code is coming in the errors side, I think. I visit this URL and I'm using it for the first time. Just close it. And yes, here you go. I just saw that. Let me just show it to you again. Yeah, here you go. So it is actually coming in the errors side, right? I'll just say don't allow. So what exactly is happening here is that this website is taking the file and the whole source code of the file is coming in the errors side. So that's one of the vulnerabilities. Now, how can this be dangerous for anything? Like first of all, when we use passwords in the PHP file, they can be read very easily, right? The second thing is that most of the applications, they use databases, right? And there is always a file dbconnect. So you can try to go on dbconnect. I'll say db-connect and I'll press enter. Okay, I'm just going to close this forever. All right, and it says doesn't exist. Okay, that's fine. Oh yeah, I by mistake added the I. Let me remove that. All right, so we don't have dbconnect.php, I guess. Yeah, so it seems like this file doesn't exist, or maybe it can be in some other kind of name, maybe dbconnect directly. No. All right, doesn't seems to work. Let me try again. No, doesn't works. Let's try something else. For example, let me try to have the source code of the categories. Okay, I'm just gonna show you how you can actually find dbconnect if it exists, because it has these categories. It should have a database, right? You cut this page where the database is actually working and you paste it right over here. All right, now we do have the source code of the page where database needs to be connected, and here you go. I just see that PHP require once database connect.php. So they are being smart. Instead of using db connect, they are using the database connect.php. That's cool. Let's copy this and let's try to view the source code of this file if we can. And that's the magic. You can see you got the MySQL host, which is actually local host here. You have the username and you have the password. So if you have the database username and password, you can probably go ahead and take over the whole website. And that's how a source code disclosure vulnerability can be very, very dangerous, because in PHP files we generally have credentials. And that's why you always want to make sure you don't do any kind of silly mistake like this where you are calling other files using a PHP that has full access to the server, right? This is how you prevent against this kind of vulnerability. And I'll keep this series going. Till then, have a great day. Hey everyone, this is Sagar from 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏, and in this lecture I want to cover up another one of the famous scanners in web pen testing. That's called Arachne scanner. Some people call it as 𝗓𝗏𝗔𝗧 scanner as well. I prefer to use Arachne. So you can just go ahead and search on Google, and this is the Arachne scanner, right? That's the website, 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏scanner.com. So in Arachne, you can download it from here, and it is available on all platforms, Windows, Linux, Mac. I'll just go ahead with the Windows one. Right here, you can just go ahead and open this. It's a GitHub page, and that starts the download. You can save it. Now, one of the things you need to take care of while using Arachne is that it will take a lot of time in installation. But more further than that, it will install wherever you download it. So once you download the file, you should move it to a directory where you want to install it. That's one of the key things. So let's just move this thing which we downloaded in a folder, and I'll just go ahead and make a new folder for this. I'll just say folder here, and I'll say Arachne. Alright, and I'll transfer this thing in Arachne folder. Though it will create another folder, I am quite sure, but just do that and just open it. Now as you see, it don't even ask you where you you can install it. It just starts installing. It's in script like that, right? And you can very well see it's making a folder here and installing the whole thing. Alright, so I just got extracted, and now let's go ahead and see what's there in the folder. You got a folder that's the bin, and you got a folder that's system. So system basically contains all the code and other kind of things for Arachne, right? And we just want to go and work with win. Though you have a readme.txt, which you can actually go ahead and read if you want, that shows you the email address for the administrator and the password, right? And one more username is there, right? And there are some other things for a quick scan via command line. So yeah, you can actually use Arachne as a command line tool as well. There is the CLI version possible, and there's a graphical interface over the web. Let me show you. In bin, you will see there are so many files which you can use with Arachne. There are things like RPC, there are things like bat console, which will allow you to use it in a command line interface. And then there are things like web, which is a graphical interface over a web application. So here you will see Arachne _ web.bat. You can run it as an administrator and just give it the permissions. And wait for a second, it will open up a server on your system with a port which you can use, right? So just wait for it. It will give you the port number, and generally it is the 9292, by the way. And as I said, it is here 9292. So Arachne still works on 9292. It's listening on the TCP localhost, so you can simply open your browser and go there. Right, so let's try that. Localhost, and there is a port which is a colon symbol, 9292. You go over there, just copy this thing and paste it here, copy the password, and you can always change this password and even the email from the interface. So let's just paste it here, and let's say sign in. Alright, this is Arachne web scanner, And here it's simply you can like create profiles. For example, you can create different profiles for different vulnerabilities, like it's a SQL injection vulnerability scan, it's a XSS scan. You can create more like this. There are other things like dispatchers and users which you can manage, and there are scans. Let's click on new scan. You can, by the way, schedule scans. So for example, if you have a company that has a website and you want to have regular scans daily, you can schedule that and it'll automatically pick up these scans. For the target URL, I'll go with the testphp.vulnhub.com. So just remove the slash and make sure to add the protocol. So we will be using the HTTP protocol because I believe this website doesn't support HTTPS. So let's go ahead and do that, right? HTTP and ://. All right, so here you can always choose your profiles. The default is for scanning everything, and you can actually check that. So do you want to share it with other users or not? You can always click those users here. You can add a description for this scan for reference purposes. Here you can like add things like instance counts, or you can schedule things. And let's just go ahead and click on go. That's gonna be a very easy scan. So this is how it's gonna actually install. It's gonna actually scan everything for you now, and just wait for it. It'll like take some time. It'll initialize the scan, it'll load all the plugins, and it'll start scanning. By the way, I just want to show you the profiles in the new tab till it works. In profiles, you will see you can actually create profiles where you can scope things. You can specify what protocols you want to use or what vulnerabilities you want to scan for, and it just asks me to allow access. So it's the Arakhani Phantom.js framework. I'm gonna allow that. So this is the scope which you can like add, and it'll create vulnerabilities for you, right? Whatever vulnerability you want to test for, whatever thing you want to test for. You can choose the platform for web server, IIS, Nginx, etc. Right? Things like that. You can choose vulnerabilities, CSRF test, code injection tests, SQL injection tests, things like that. Right? This is how you create profiles. Now, in a default scan, it's generally all the vulnerabilities. And you will see it has started giving up vulnerabilities. You can see high vulnerabilities, medium level, low level, and informational, which are just info. Like when you click on high, it will show you the vulnerabilities. We only have one, actually two now. It'll like show you what exactly this vulnerability is. It'll give you the CWE for it, right? And the resource which is having this vulnerability, and some more information. So you can go ahead and see in like you can manage these vulnerabilities in fixed, verified, pending verification, false positive. So you can basically mark things that it was a false positive, you mark it in a false positive. It was a verified, you mark it in a verified. It has been fixed, you mark it as fixed. So it's basically more oriented for the companies, not for the bug hunters, but can be used as well, right? Can be used for bug hunting as well. It's more oriented on managing the company's website and managing those audits and regular maintenance, right? But it can be used in this way. So that was the Arachne scanner. With that, I'll take the leave. Have a great day.